All right, Lordcana family, how's it going, guys? Today, I'm going to be dropping a blue steel deck profile for you guys. It's just a kind of KIWI bird list. Got to jam it for a couple of set championships. Actually, my first and second one that I went to. Unfortunately, didn't quite get the results that I wanted to. Had a first one that I went to was a 2-game format. Not personally the biggest fan of, but gotta play with what's available to us. And in that one, ended up going pretty much draw, and I think I had 1-2-0, and maybe I got 0-2 once, right? So ended up getting 9th in that event, and I felt really confident about the deck. Testing had been going extremely well up until set champs. So had went through a couple of different versions with the deck. I know that that KIWI started to get it kind of looked at as like a tier 3 deck there after the Hiram ban and the Fortisphere ban. But once I saw the individual win the Southside Gaming 10K with it, I'd had full confidence in the deck. I knew that the deck was still powerful. I just didn't know what sort of the next variation of the deck was going to be. And so, for those of you who aren't familiar, the guy who ended up winning the Southside Gaming event, or the $10,000 tournament, was he was playing KIWI Blue Steel, but he was playing Robin Hood. So he took out the Popsicles, took out the Bells, and he was just jamming the Robin Hood package. Pretty much the rest of the deck was the same as it's always been. There wasn't a whole lot that changed up. I know the Diggy Hole variant got popular there for a little bit, but he was on a very standardized build, just pretty much quest out and run over your opponents. So I kind of ended up going with a little bit of a similar structure. I did choose to opt away from the Robin Hoods, which possibly could end up being my downfall at the end of the day. So nevertheless, went with Belle and Popsicle. I still wanted to try Strength, and I still wanted to play Strength and Love Storm as well. The individual who won the Southside Gaming Tournament was maxed out on Strength, but that was his only realistic form of removal. I think he played a couple Fire the Cannons. All those cards, of course, pretty much staples to the deck. It has excellent removal options, and the deck, of course, extremely aggro with some of the best ward characters in the game. So, without further ado, let's jump into this deck list, guys, and see what we were cooking up. And I guess also, so on top of the 9th place, I did end up going to a separate set championship the following weekend after. Did make a couple of changes to the deck, nothing too crazy. Still played the Belle package, and I ended up getting 7th in that event, which that one was a top 4 playoff. So we did not get the chance to play out top 8, unfortunately. But with all that being said, guys, top 8 finish and a 9th place finish with the deck. I still think the deck's incredible. I recommend everybody getting a chance to play around with it, or at least being familiar with the deck, because I truly believe that this deck isn't going anywhere anytime soon, and it probably only gets more prominent in the meta with set 8 coming out. So, see what we're working with, guys. Alright, jumping on into this list here, guys. So, first and foremost, we're going to be talking about, of course, this is Belle package. Belle inherently going to go along with the Popsicle. They're going to take up 8 slots in your deck right off the top. Now, the counter piece to this deck, and what I was kind of mentioning before, was that Robin Hood has come into popularity. So Robin Hood allows you to put a 2/2 body on the field on turn 1 instead of putting out the Popsicle. Perfectly fine. Popsicle can be a dead draw whenever it's on its own, and especially if you don't have the Belle, it's not really a card that you ever want to play in this deck on turn 1, because you really want to develop a character on turn 1. So I completely understand not playing this card. However, my reasoning for playing this particular combo is that I'm a firm believer that the Belle on turn 1 is one of the strongest plays, if not the strongest play in the game, especially if you're playing the songs to back it up. Songs that you can sing on turn 2 or turn 3, already having a character up on the board while you're able to develop your other characters is incredible. And then furthermore than that, I think a lot of people underestimate the healing on Popsicle. So the healing on Popsicle is absolutely phenomenal. Being able to work alongside cards such as Pluto or Alice that have rather large booties in the first place, It's definitely an excellent card just to be able to have as a tool in the deck. So with that being said, I did choose to go with this package, and I for this particular deck list, I don't have the strengths on me. Troy's actually playing the strengths in his or a set of the strengths in his purple steel list. So I did play 4 strengths in this deck, and on top of that, just so we can go ahead and be clear as far as what I played in total, I played 2 Fire the Cannons additionally, and 3. Yes. So for the first tournament, 3 Fire the Cannons, 4 strengths. That was almost mirrored exactly to the guy or to the individual who won the 10K tournament. I didn't have an issue with that package at all, but there was a ton of Emerald Steel at that tournament, and against Emerald Steel, of course, you want to try to avoid the Ursula Deceiver being able to take anything out of your hand. So you almost, you find yourselves in situations where you want to mulligan away that strength in the first place. But strength is an incredible card. If you're going to play the Belle, you're going to play the strength. That's just plain and simple. And I honestly, considering that the strength is inkable, it's a pretty good argument that in almost every variation of this deck, you're probably going to be playing strength in one form or fashion or another. As a counter to that, if you do not have strengths, or if you do not own strengths currently, I truly and genuinely believe that Smash is an excellent replacement card. Smash has done wonders for me. It's actually what I ended up winning the 1K with. So I don't believe I got to mention this on the channel. We did play in a smaller 1K event that was down in South Tennessee. This was probably about a month or so back, and I did end up getting I think it was top 4. Maybe I may have gotten second in the tournament. I can't remember what all we split off the top of my head. I played pretty much this exact same deck list. I only played 3 strengths, though, and I played 3 storm. Or no, it was 3 strength, 2 storm, 2 of this, and 2 of this as my total removal package. As time has went on, I don't like Storm really at all. It's not really a card that you want to see in this deck. Don't get me wrong, it goes excellent with the Belle. If the game kind of starts to develop into having more aggro decks prominent, then I do believe that Storm plus the Belle is a solid package to have. But just for theory crafting purposes, Smash and Unfortunate Situation, both of these cards I like a lot. So first and foremost, Unfortunate Situation, this is a newer card out of set 6. Each opponent chooses one of their characters and deals 4 damage to it. As the game slows down some, or as some of these more tempo-oriented decks become more and more prominent, I found myself in different situations where, we're going through the 1, 2, 3 of this deck. And just to clarify for us, so whenever I say 1, 2, and 3 with this deck, we're really looking at the Simbas, Mickeys, Smees, and Honest. So these are the cards at the 1 and 2 specifically that I'm trying to develop every single game. I want to be mulliganing for these cards. I have to be able to see these cards on curve, right? These are the cards that are going to develop my game state. I loved the Mickey after testing it out some more. I did, just to clarify, I did play Calhoun over Anna, I believe, at the first set championship. But this is the particular setup that I did use for the 1K. So I love Anna. I didn't know if I was going to be the biggest fan of it in the first place. I see a lot of people shying away from it, but in general, that card has been phenomenal for me. It works perfect with the best card in the deck. I'm sure that majority of you already know Alice is the entire reason for playing this deck. 3-drop comes down with Ward. Whenever it quests, you give another character Ward and +1 lore. So on your turn 4, after you've played the Alice, you can quest the Alice, give the Anna +1 and Ward, and then she's questing for 3. You're questing for 5, not including your 1-drop. That's just on turn 4. So this is the true heart and soul to the aggro piece of the deck. And this is really the 1, 2, 3 line that you want to see. Now, with that being said, because this card has Ward, you're never worried about this card necessarily being killed. And because this card is a 1/4 body on turn 2, you're never really necessarily worried about that card dying to anything either. So a lot of your game plan comes down to how do we keep these cards alive? I mean, this is plenty to win pretty much any game within 3 to 4 turns. So how do we keep these cards alive? So that's where my theory has changed a little bit with this deck to saying, maybe I want to play some more finite removal that deals damage. It's always going to deal damage. It doesn't matter what's on board, and I don't have to sing anything to be able to do it. Now, the reason that we say that, so singing is great to be able to keep up tempo and be able to develop your board. No issues there whatsoever. However, though, in this particular deck, one of your main caveats is that you're looking to continue questing out every single turn. And one of the last things that I've found myself wanting to do is on a turn 4, having to sing an Alice and then quest with an Anna and Simba or an Anna and Mickey while playing a turn 4 character. Right? That turn 4 character is usually going to be a Pluto or maybe a McDuck Manor, as we'll get to here in a second. But whenever you play those cards, you're not developing anything on the board, right? So all I simply say is that as I've looked at more and more theory crafting for this deck, I have found it to where I think I would like to be able to go 1, 2, 3, and then have something that does some significant damage and is inkable. Right? Zeus is a great card, but it's not inkable in this deck. That is imperative right now. So having a card like this, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that this is going to be the answer. I know there's some new cards coming out in set 8 that could possibly be some alternate options as well. But this is just something I'm trying for the time being, something for you guys to maybe play around with and think about for yourself as well. For my other 3 drops, I ended up playing the Pete, John, and for what it's worth, at the other 2 drop slot, we did, of course, play 4 Doc. These are pretty much staples to the deck. Pete is your win con against Red, Blue, Amber, Steel. John Silver, incredible card. It stops the Maui Half Shark from just absolutely wiping you out. And a handful of other cards as well. It's awesome to be able to stop a crab from being able to attack or suicide itself whenever you're playing against those purple decks. Doc. Nothing has to be said about Doc. That card's incredible. McDuck Manor and 4 dogs. So pretty straightforward there. The Pluto, that's the most annoying 1, 2, 3, 4 in the game, is being able to drop Alice into Pluto and then give the Pluto ward, in my opinion. And then beyond that, whenever you're playing against some more of the kind of control-oriented or aggro-style decks, I have found that McDuck, of course, is a god card in this deck as well. Now to finish out the deck, it's pretty straightforward. We're going to go 4 cogs. This card has ward, and it gives all your other characters resist, and it quests for 2. Pretty much a guaranteed quest for 2, which is really all you're looking for in this deck, is just something in the late game that's going to be able to stick. This, on the other hand, is your card that you play to make your other characters stick on the field. So, of course, you can be able to use your Alice, tap it, and then give this ward. So it'll have ward and bodyguard as a 4/7. It pretty much makes it unkillable, and your opponent can't get to the rest of your characters, which is awesome. And then finally, I only had 2 of this card. I do know that the individual who won the SSG played 4 of them. So Big Gantu. I did not play this card at the 1K. I did not like it prior, but after some further investigation and kind of seeing how the individual used it at the 10K tournament, I think this card is incredible, actually. I was missing out initially. I don't know that we bump it up to, say 4. I do think that 3 range could be perfectly fine. Or who knows, maybe even 4 is the go-to number. The whole idea, though, that I never realized prior was that really all you want to do is be able to go with Alice into Gantu. So it's a turn off, or even if you play your Alice on turn 4 and then play your Gantu on turn 5, you really just want to be able to give the Gantu ward so that you can quest for 4 the following turn, right? That way nothing can get rid of them. And that's something that I never really had put into perspective before. So in general, Gantu has become better and better for me. On top of that, for what it's worth, he is a captain, so he does protect the Smee from losing a damage at the end of the turn. But other than that, guys, That's pretty much this particular list that I ended up getting to jam. I know we talked about some variations or some choices that I've made throughout, the three main tournaments that I've played this deck in. I love Blue Steel as a whole. I've loved the Belle interaction since it came out. And originally I was always playing the ramp Blue Steel deck. That was kind of my go-to. I love the theory crafting behind it. I love the way that the deck operates. And this deck, it took me a while for it to, or it took a while for it to grow on me. But after getting to play it and jam it, this has been one of the funnest decks. Honestly, it has some great game state interactions. It does require quite a bit of technical play at the end of the day. I think a lot of people underestimate when you can tap and when you need to maybe do some value trading here or there. So with all that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed the list as much as I've enjoyed getting to play this deck. I hope that I can get to show some more success with the Blue Steel colors. But other than that, guys, I look forward to the next video. Look forward to getting to see you guys at possibly some events coming up soon. And other than that, have a great afternoon, and make sure to like, subscribe, and leave any comments if you got anything, guys, and I'll keep making some new content as you guys request it. So appreciate it. Peace out, Lorcana Kingdom.